down, and no one has ever as more than me did. And no one was concerned enough to die. Time has passed, and now at last we are the gates of glory. Welcome into the live, everybody. Good morning, everyone. It's never good to sing laying down. But welcome into the live, everybody. Thank you all so much for coming. This is Trev from Trevessence. And I'm sorry I'm a little bit late this morning, but you know, life goes on and sometimes life gets in the way. So we are going to be continuing the reading of the Bible. Now, for those of you who are new here and you don't understand what is going on here, let me just bring you up to speed. So every morning here on my channel, Trevessence Unstoppable, we read the Bible. Yes, we are no theologians over here, and we are not trying to convince everybody of any particular religion. No particular religion and no denomination is being endorsed over here. What we are simply doing is, as human beings whose lives are impacted by the Bible in every shape and form, we have found that it is quite imperative that we read the Bible and know what is in the Bible. We have been reading from Genesis, and now we are on to the book of 1 Samuel. We did not come in yesterday or this morning, but we are here this morning, and we are going to be reading from 1 Samuel chapter 23 through 26. Now, if you were here with me when I last read, we read about how Saul hated David, tried all he could to take David's life, but each time there were people who were socially should have been loyal to Saul, but instead were on David's side. We saw Jonathan, who was Saul's son. Jonathan said he loved David from the moment he met David. He felt like their spirits intertwined. And so when his father was trying to take David's life, he was there helping David without his father's knowledge. And also, David had married Saul's daughter Michal, and she was also helping David to stay one step ahead of her dad and stay away from his javelin. He wanted to take David's life with that javelin more than he wanted to do anything else. And Samuel was extremely disappointed with Saul, and he was angry at Saul. So we are going to continue the reading and see what else has happened. We saw the death of Ahimelech, the king. Yeah, remember that part there? Okay. So a lot of things have gone on in the Bible as we have been reading it. We have come across some controversial things in the Bible, which I told you all when we first started that we are going to end up finding some controversial things in the Bible, but we are neither going to the right nor to the left. We are reading the Bible neutrally, just to say this is what we know that is in the Bible. So when anybody comes to you and say, oh, XYZ is in the Bible, well, you will know for yourself whether or not it is. And also, most importantly, you will know what context those words were spoken in, who spoke them, and to whom they had been spoken. I had a conversation with somebody this morning, and I said, I just want to know what part of the Bible we should use and what part we should throw out. And he says to me, Trev, we need to obey all of the Bible. Well, in that case, if we need to obey all of the Bible, who is going to take the first job and tell the dwarf people that they're not welcome? Who is going to tell the people with big noses like myself that they're not welcome? Oh, he says, oh, that's not what the Bible means. I said, you know what? That's a good thing while I read the Bible for myself. And that is why I am of the firm belief that these instructions, that laws that Moses was passing were for that time. I think it was for early establishment of rules and laws for which people were expected to abide. And you all see that the Israelites could not. They couldn't keep up with all these laws and precepts and commandments. They could not keep up. And that is why they continually erred. They continued to break these laws. And you see, every time they break the laws, they were punished immensely. And so their entire life became a cycle of act, punishment, disobey, punishment, disobey, punishment. Their whole existence dwelt around that concept. And so everything they needed to do, they had to consult with the priests and the judges to see what is it that they were supposed to do. What did the Bible say about, what did Moses say about XYZ? And so from this, and from our reading, we can always take from it what we will, but the evidence for me is quite clear. Joseph is in the house and Dela is in there. Dela, what's up? What are you doing? Yes, Dela, tell him. Dela, what's up? What are you doing, sugar? So good to see you, my darling. So good to see you. I am here, my love. I am here reading. This is what I do. Yeah. So we are going to be reading the book of 1 Samuel this morning. 1 Samuel chapter 23 is where we're at. So go ahead and get your book Bible or your Google Bible and follow along. Let's begin. 1 Samuel chapter 23. Then they told David, saying, Behold, the Philistines fight against Keilah, and they rob the thresholding floors. Therefore David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go and smite these Philistines? And the Lord said unto David, Go and smite the Philistines and save Keilah. And David's men said unto him, Behold, we be afraid here in Judah. How much more then if we come to Keilah against the armies of the Philistines? Then David inquired of the Lord yet again, and the Lord answered him and said, Arise, go down to Keilah, for I will deliver the Philistines into thine hand. So David and his men went to Keilah and fought with the Philistines, and brought away their cattle, and smote them with a great slaughter. So David saved the inhabitants of Keilah. And it came to pass, when Abiathar, the son of Ahimelech, okay, remember now that they had already killed Ahimelech, right? Happy Tuesday, Andrea. How are you doing, my love? Good to see you. We are on verse 6 of chapter 23 of the book of 1 Samuel. And it came to pass, when Abiathar, the son of Ahimelech, fled to David to Keilah, fled to David, or fled with David, or fled from David. Sometimes we find some typo in the Bible that sort of distorts what we're reading. But remember, Ahimelech is dead. I don't think his son would be fleeing to David. But let's read that again. And it came to pass, when Abiathar, the son of Ahimelech, fled to David to Keilah, that he came down with an ephod in his hand. And it was told Saul that David was come to Keilah. And Saul said, God hath delivered him into mine hand, for he is shut in by entering into a town that hath gates and bars. Ha ha! Here is Saul. Saul is happy that David is coming, that David is now in Keilah, because he's saying now David come right in my hand. Now I shall slay him, because this city has gates and bars. So you can't get out unless the gates are open. Verse 7. And it was told Saul that David was come to Keilah. And Saul said, God hath delivered him into mine hand, for he is shut in by entering into a town that hath gates and bars. And Saul called all the people together to war, to go down to Keilah, to besiege David and his men. And David knew that Saul secretly practiced mischief against him. And he said to Abiathar the priest. Oh, so Abiathar was a priest. Oh, so Abiathar was a priest, and he was the son of the king Abimelech. Bring hither the ephod. Then said David, O Lord God of Israel, thy servant has certainly heard that Saul seeketh to come to Keilah, to destroy the city for my sake. Will the men of Keilah deliver me up into his hand? Will Saul come down as thy servant hath heard? O Lord God of Israel, I beseech thee. Tell thy servant. And the Lord said, he will come down. Then David said, will the men of Keilah deliver me and my men into the hand of Saul? And the Lord said, they will deliver thee up. Okay, so here is David. He's asking the Lord whether or not the men will hand him over to Saul. Because remember, Saul has been trying to kill David for a very long time, and David has been trying to escape. So it's like he's living his life, always looking over his shoulder, always trying to save his life from Saul. And Saul is always determined that he's going to get David and he's going to take David's life. So here now David is going down to Keilah and he's asking God, what do you think? Do you think these men are going to hand me over to Saul? And here in verse 12, then David said, will the men of Keilah deliver me and my men into the hand of Saul? And the Lord said, they will deliver thee up. Then David and his men, which were about 600, arose and departed out of Keilah, and went whithersoever they could go. And it was told Saul that David was escaped from Keilah, and he forbare to go forth. So when Saul is thinking that he got David, David slip away and gone again. Jamaica Farmers Hut is in the place. Jamaica Farmers Hut, how are you doing, my love? So good to see you. Happy Tuesday morning. Welcome into the live. Thank you so much for coming. Let us continue. Verse 14. And David dwelt in the wilderness, in a stronghold, and remained in a mountain in the wilderness of Ziph. And Saul sought him every day, but God delivered him not into Saul's hand. And David saw that Saul was come out to seek his life, and David was in the wilderness of Ziph in the wood. He does say in the wood. He said in a wood. In a wood. Okay. Verse 16. And Jonathan, Saul's son, arose and went to David into the wood, and strengthened his hand in God. And he said unto him, fear not, for the hand of Saul my father shall not find thee, and thou shalt be king over Israel, and I shall be next unto thee. And that also Saul my father knows. So here Jonathan is telling David, Saul shall not find you. My father is not going to find you. My father is not going to be able to kill you. You are going to be declared king of Israel, and I am going to be your assistant. I don't know if I would trust that, but I guess David did. And they too made a covenant before the Lord. And David abode in the wood, and Jonathan went to his house. Okay, so David stayed in the woods while Jonathan went back home. Then came up the Ziphites. Now, the Ziphites are the people who inhabit that land where David is hiding. He's hiding in the land of Ziph. And that's where the Ziphites dwell. So now in verse 19, then came up the Ziphites to Saul to Gibeah, saying, doth not David hide himself with us in strongholds in the wood, in the hill of Achilah, which is on the south of Jeshimon? Oh my God, they are giving Saul the whole location of David. Now therefore, O king, come down according to all the desire of thy soul. Come down, and our part shall be to deliver him into the king's hand. You see, you can't trust people, these people. And Saul said, blessed be he of the Lord, for he have compassion on me. Go, I pray you, prepare yet, and know and see his place where his haunt is, and who hath seen him there, for it is told me that he dealeth very subtly. Verse 23, see therefore and take knowledge of all the lurking places where he hides himself, and come ye again to me with the certainty, and I will go with you. And it shall come to pass, if he be in the land, that I will search him out throughout all the thousands of Judah. You hear that? So the Ziphites, when they saw Saul, apparently they knew that Saul was after David. So they knew that Saul was after David. So when they saw David in their land, they went and they told Saul, that David that you are looking for, he's in our land. He's hiding down there. They give him the whole 411 of where David was. Saul told them, go back. Make sure that he's there. And anybody you see hanging around him, anybody you see it looks like they are helping him to hide from me, take note. Take note. And then come back and tell me who you see down there. And then I will go down with you and I will find him. And I will search among every single person down there until I find him. And they arose and went back to Ziph before Saul. But David and his men were in the wilderness of Maon, in the plain on the south of Jeshimon. Saul also and his men went to seek him, and they told David, wherefore he come down into a rock, and abode in the wilderness of Maon. And when Saul heard that, he pursued after David in the wilderness of Maon. And Saul went on this side of the mountain, and David and his men on that side of the mountain. And David made haste to get away for fear of Saul. For Saul and his men compassed David and his men round about to take them. But there came a messenger unto Saul, saying, haste thee, and come, for the Philistines have invaded the land. Oh my. So now he's worried about David, and now he's trying to catch David, to kill David, but here now he has the Philistines to worry about. Verse 28, wherefore Saul returned from pursuing after David, and went against the Philistines. Therefore they called that place Selah Hamalekah. Selah Amalekah. That is the place where Saul turned around to fight the Philistines rather than continuing to pursue David. Verse 29, and this is the last verse of chapter 23. And David went up from there and dwelt in strongholds in Engedi. Let's move on. Let me see what's in the chat. Welcome, everybody. Thank you all so much for coming into the chat. Don't forget to hit the like button, share the live stream, invite your friends and friends to come on over. We do this every morning. This morning we're a little bit late, but we do it every single morning. We read the Bible. We are not endorsing any particular religion or denomination. We are reading the Bible for ourselves to get first-hand knowledge of what is in the Bible, because every aspect of our lives depend on what the Bible says. Chapter 24. And it came to pass, when Saul was returned from following the Philistines, that it was told to him, saying, Behold, David is in the wilderness of Engedi. Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of all Israel, and went to seek David and his men upon the rocks of the wild goats. So Engedi is the rock of the wild goats. Let's move on to verse 3. And he came to the sheepcotes by the way, where was a cave, and Saul went in to cover his feet, and David and his men remained in the sides of the cave. And the men of David said unto him, Behold, the day of which the Lord said unto thee, Behold, I will deliver thine enemy into thine hand, that thou mayst do to him as it shall seem good unto thee. Then David arose and cut off the skirt of Saul's robe privily. Now hear that? So David and his men were already in the cave. And as Saul was pursuing David, he decided to go in the cave. Sit down to rest, fall asleep in the cave. And they said to David, David, you remember the Lord said he was going to deliver your enemies into your hands? Now look at that. That is Saul, you know. Saul has been seeking to kill you for a very long time. Here he come. What you going to do about it? Verse 5 says, And it came to pass afterwards that David's heart smote him, because he had cut off Saul's skirt. And he said unto his men, The Lord forbid that I should do this thing unto my master, the Lord's anointed, to stretch forth mine hand against him, seeing he is the anointed of the Lord. So David stayed his servants with these words, and suffered them not to rise against Saul. But Saul rose up out of the cave and went on his way. So Saul no realized him skirt cut off. You know, so you see how close David comes to taking Saul's life, but he spares him. For whatever reason, he spares him. Saying, My Lord the king. And when Saul looked behind him, David stooped with his face to the earth and bowed himself. And David said to Saul, Wherefore hearest thou men's words, saying, Behold, David seeketh thy hurt. Behold, this day thine eyes have seen how that the Lord hath delivered thee today into mine hand in the cave. And Saul bade me to kill thee, but mine eyes spared thee. And I said, I will not put forth mine hand against my Lord, for he is the Lord's anointed. So here, guys, David confronts Saul, and he says to Saul, Look, you have been trying to kill me for so long. Today you came into the cave, and I was in the cave with my men. They could have taken your life, but I bid them, do not touch you, because you are the Lord's anointed and you are the king. You are my Lord. Because, you know, Saul was king at that time. So but you still seek to take my life. Verse 11. Moreover, my father, see the skirt of thy robe in my hand? For in that I cut off the hand, and I have not sinned against thee. Yet you hunt my soul to take it. The Lord judge between me and thee, and the Lord avenge me of thee, but mine hand shall not be upon thee. I set the proverb of the ancients, wickedness proceedeth from the wicked, but mine hand shall not be upon thee. After whom is the king of Israel come out? After whom dost thou pursue? After a dead dog? After a flea? So here David is really trying to bring Saul into himself, so to speak. To say, listen, I don't understand you. I don't understand you. Why do you seek to kill me? I'm married to your daughter, yet you seek to take my life. And look at it. You your skirt that I cut off of you while you were sleeping, to show you how close I came to you. And you are still seeking my life. Am I a dog? Am I a flea? Only something that has no soul somebody would pursue with that intent to take their life. Why? Why do you do that to me, my Lord? But I guess Saul has no answer. Verse 15. The Lord therefore be judge, and judge between me and thee, and see and please these words unto Saul, that Saul said, Is this thy voice, my son David? Oh Lord. No, he's acknowledging that David is his son. And Saul lifted up his voice and wept. And he said to David, Thou art more righteous than I am, for thou hast rewarded me good, whereas I have rewarded thee evil. And thou hast showed this day how that thou hast dwelt well with me. For as much as when the Lord hath delivered me into thine hand, thou did not kill me. For if a man find his enemy, I know well that thou shalt surely be king, and that the kingdom of Israel shall be established in thine hand. Swear now therefore unto me by the Lord, that thou wilt not cut off my seed after me, and that thou wilt not destroy my name out of my father's house. Verse 22, and this is the end of chapter 24. And David sware unto Saul, and Saul went home. But David and his men got them up onto the holds. It is funny, guys, that sometimes your enemy, when you see your enemy come after you and trying desperately to destroy you, and when you see how you can destroy them if you wish, and you say, something, I like you, I don't want your blood on my hands. I'm going to just leave you to time. I'm going to just leave it to God, because one thing, karma don't forget our address. Never. She knows where everybody live. Yeah. You can't render evil for evil. Look how compassionate David was with a man who was so determined to take his life. And look how compassionate he was. Bible or your Google Bible. I sincerely appreciate you. Keep following as we do this every single morning. And guys, if you have come across any literature that pertains to what we're reading, you can always share it with me. The number to the channel is usually in the description. If you can't find it, let me know. Let's move on to chapter 25. Chapter 25 of the book of 1 Samuel. And Samuel died, and all the Israelites were gathered together and lamented him and buried him in his home at Ramah. And David arose and went down to the wilderness of Paran. And there was a man in Maon whose possessions were in Carmel. And the man was very great, and he had 3,000 sheep. 3,000 sheep? I must be Malchijah this. You all remember when we read about Malchijah had all these sheep? The man had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats, and he was sharing his sheep in Carmel. Now the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife was Abigail. All right, Abigail and Nabal. And she was a woman of good understanding and of beautiful countenance. But the man was churlish and evil in his doings, and he was of the house of Caleb. All right. So Nabal was a descendant of And David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did share his sheep. And David sent out 10 young men. And David thus shall he say to him that liveth in prosperity, Peace be both to thee, and peace be to thine house, and peace be unto all that thou hast. And now I have heard that thou hast sharers. Now thy shepherds which were with us, we hurt them not, neither was there aught missing unto them, all the while they were in Carmel. Ask thy young men, and they will show thee. Wherefore let the young men find favor in thine eyes. For we come in a good day. Give, I pray thee, whatsoever cometh to thine hand, unto thy servants and to thy son. Thousand sheep and 1,000 goats. He's very rich. So here David sends the 10 young men to him and say, listen, give to us what you will. He tells them, what are you doing, Sister Winsome? And Lashes! Lashes is in the house. Sister Lashes, how you doing? Guys, me telling you, if you don't connect with Lashes yet, or you ain't connect yet or with anybody on the tube, all right, go and check out my sister there, Lashes from Lashes Journey. All right, welcome, Lash. How you doing, my dear sister? Winsome, so where you reach? Winsome, I am on 1 Samuel chapter 25 and verse 9. I'm going to read now verse 9. So grab your Bible, Winsome, and hurry up and catch up with me. And when David's young men came, they spake to Nabal according to all those words in the name of David, and ceased. And Nabal answered David's servants and said, Who is David? And who is the son of Jesse? There be many servants unto men whom I know not whence they came. Okay, so you all hear that. I don't even know. No. I don't know who is on the master. I don't know who sent you. I don't know where you come from. You come here and want me to give you my meat and my bread that my shearers just prepare for me. Let's see what else happened in verse 12. So David's young men turned their way and went again and came and told him all those sayings. So they went back and they told David what Nabal said. And David said unto his men, gird he on every man his sword. Wanna hear this now? Wanna hear this? Every man his sword. And they girded on every man his sword. And David also girded on his sword. So I fight them, I go fight Nabal now for Nabal things. Stop what you're doing. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button and share this stream out. Invite your friends to come on over. And there went up after David about 400 men. So they'll be getting 400 men. And 200 about by the stock. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness. When some say I look for me from morning, with some I had to go to my job this morning. So I went to my job early this morning and I just came back. Yeah. I forgot. My bad. I should have told you, but my bad. Forgive me. Yeah, but I thought I was going to be able to read early this morning before I left. But it didn't happen. So hush. I'll try not to make that happen again. So here now, one of the young men go to tell Abigail, that is Nabal's wife, that David has sent men to come beg for me. Verse 15 says, but the men were very good unto us, and we were not hurt, neither missed we anything. As long as we were conversant with them when we were in the fields. They were a wall unto us, both by night and by day, all the while we were with them keeping the sheep. Now therefore know and consider what thou wilt do. Him. Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 2 bottles of wine and 5 sheep ready dressed and 5 measures of parched corn and 100 clusters of raisins and 200 cakes of figs and laid them on asses. And she said unto her servants, go on before me. Behold, I come after you. But she told not her husband Nabal. Okay, remember before they said that Abigail was kind, very, very kind and beautiful, and she was sort of the Abigail knows that these people came for food and her husband sent them away without it, was angry at them. She is trying to do the right thing. But she didn't tell her husband. I wonder what's going to happen when he finds out. And it was so. As she rode on the ass, that she came down by the covert of surely in vain have I kept all that this fellow hath in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that pertained unto him. And he hath requited me evil for good. Verse 22. So, and more also do God unto the enemies of David, if I leave of all that pertain to him by the morning light any that pisseth. Is the Bible said that, any that pisseth against the wall? Kind of weird. The word urinate, or if they're talking about something else. How did my phone go dead? Let's see if that's what they're talking about. Uh-oh, that phone is restarting. So we are going to have to continue until we get a phone to work. Okay, so let's read that again. Verse 22. So, and more also do God unto the enemies of David. And when Abigail saw David, she hasted and lighted off the ass, and fell before David on her face, and bowed herself to the ground, and fell at his feet, and said, Upon me, my lord, upon me let this iniquity be, and let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak in thine audience, and hear the words of thine handmaid. Let not my lord, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal. For as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. So here is he acts like that. He's very unkind. But here I am. I bring you all the things that you would ask for that my husband had refused to give. You ever seen some wife like this? Yes, we always find that sometimes when we see a wife and a husband who are complete opposites, the husband is rash and crude, and the wife is just calm and mild, or vice versa. Sometimes you find the wife that is crude and the husband that is mild-mannered. And I've seen it all the time. When I was growing up, I would see wife and husband together. But if you want to talk to any of them, you'd rather talk to the husband, because the wife was always so unpleasant to talk to. And we find that too sometimes with women or with men. When Shawnee Barney say, my day is coming along, it's coming along. Here we are. So it's coming. Lasha say, you need the sour melon. Yes, one always nice and one raw. Yeah, I wish I melon and sour melon lashes. Let me tell you, what you want? Thirsty. Me and you want that thirsty. Me and you want that thirsty. I forgot. No, green thirsty can't send. Me send. Green thirsty can't send. I have to be dry thirsty. You know what me think me can do? You know what me think me can do? Me can do lashes. Me have some thirsty. You know some could have blend up his thirsty. Blend up his thirsty dry bush and blend it up. And me have some tea bag. Me have some tea bag. You know, I'm not gonna find thirsty seed till I go to Miami, man. When I go to Miami, but me have dry thirsty. Could have blend up. Oh, you go contact me now, Lashes. You don't have my number. You should have my number by now, Because you don't have my number. We could have swear so we did exchange number on Instagram. Yeah, make we talk about it. Make we talk about it in the day. Cersei plant, no sir, it dead off. You know, say up in North Carolina here, so when the winter come, it burn up the Cersei. But me have no Cersei in Miami. Whole heap of Cersei me have in Miami. Yeah, so only when me go to Miami, me have green Cersei. But here a dry Cersei me have to have. Or maybe can take the Cersei plant, the Cersei fruit, and dry the seed. That sounds like a good idea. I never do that yet. But that doesn't sound like one bad idea. That button, I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you. Follow me on your Google Bible or your book Bible, whichever one you have. Follow me because we are reading the book of 1 Samuel today. All right, let us continue. We are on to 1 Samuel chapter 25, and now we are going to verse 26. Now therefore, my Lord, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, seeing the Lord hath withholden thee from coming to shed blood, and from avenging thyself with thine own hand. Now let thine enemies, and they that seek evil to my Lord, be as Nabal. Oh, you're a searcher and can't find it. You can't find my number. Wait, I have to send it back to you on Instagram. I send it back to you on Instagram when me done. But let me write it down because I don't know what to say. If me not write down my name, I don't remember it sometimes. Let me write it here, sister. Send number to All right, there we go. Let us continue. And now this blessing which thine handmaid hath brought unto my Lord, let it even be given unto the young men that follow my Lord. You know, when she's talking about my Lord, she's talking about David. She's giving reverence to David. And that's why she's saying my Lord to him. So she says, don't listen to my husband. Don't pay any mind to what my husband has done. Here I am. I am your handmaid, my Lord. I have brought you food for you and all your servants. Verse 28 says, I pray thee, forgive the trespass of thine handmaid, for the Lord will certainly make my Lord a sure house. Because my Lord fighteth the battles of the Lord, and evil hath not been found in thee all thy days. Yet a man is risen to pursue thee, and to seek thy soul. But the soul of my Lord shall be bound in the bundle of life with the Lord thy God, and the souls of thine enemies. Then shall he sling out, as out of the middle of a sling. And it shall come to pass, when the Lord shall have done to my Lord according to all the good that he hath spoken concerning thee, and shall have appointed thee ruler over Israel, that this shall be no grief unto thee, nor offense of heart unto my Lord, either that thou hast shed blood causeless, or that my Lord hath avenged himself. But when the Lord shall have dealt well with my Lord, then remember thine handmaid. So here Abigail is saying to David, listen, I am not like my husband. Here I am bringing you food because you need it. Whenever you speak to the Lord, remember me. Remember me. Remember the kindness and the goodness that I have done for you, and ask the Lord to be merciful unto me. And David said to Abigail, Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, which send thee this day to meet me. And blessed be thy advice, and blessed be thou, which hath kept me this day from coming to shed blood, and from avenging myself with mine own hand. For in very deed, well, that's what the Bible says. For in very deed, as the Lord God of Israel liveth, which hath kept me back from hurting thee, except thou hadst hasted and come to meet me, surely there had not been left unto Nabal by the morning light any that pisseth against the wall. Really, guys, I don't understand what this pisseth against the wall means. I think it is David saying in a very derogatory way, or maybe not, saying there is going to be not even one man of Nabal left. There wasn't going to be one man of Nabal left if I had gone over there. So thank God, Abigail, that you came to meet me. Because if you didn't come to meet me, you probably wouldn't be alive tomorrow. Your husband wouldn't be alive tomorrow for sure. And not even one of his men was going to still be alive. So thank God you came to meet me, rather than have me come down there. So David received of her hand that which she had brought him, and said unto her, Go up in peace to your house. See, I have hearkened to your voice, and have accepted thy person. And Abigail came to Nabal, and behold, he held a feast in his house, like the feast of a king. And Nabal's heart was merry within him, and he was very drunk. Wherefore she told him nothing, less or more, until the morning light. But it came to pass in the morning, when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife had told him those things, that his heart died within him, and he became as a stone. And it came to pass about 10 days after, that the Lord smote Nabal, that he died. So 10 days after the day that David was going to slay Nabal, Nabal died. And when David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, Blessed be the Lord, that had pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal, and hath kept his servant from evil. For the Lord hath returned the wickedness of Nabal upon his own head. So the same death that Nabal was wishing on David has happened to him. Peace in the midst of the storm. Hey, Marlon, what's up? How are you doing? And David sent and communed with Abigail to take her to him to wife. What hear ya? I wasn't expecting this. Okay. So what happened to Michael? I didn't read that something happened to Michael, guys. Remember, David is at this point, David is married to Michael, who is Saul's daughter. So now he's calling to take Abigail, Nabal's widow, for his wife. And when the servants of David were come to Abigail to Carmel, they spake unto her, saying, David sent us unto thee, to take thee to him to wife. And she arose, and bowed herself on her face to the earth, and said, Behold, let thine handmaid be a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my Lord. And Abigail hasted and arose, and rode upon an ass, with 5 damsels of hers that went after her. And she went after the messengers of David, and became his wife. But yeah. Oh, they never tell me this at church, or me never hear. So this is what happened. So David was going to go down to Carmel to fight with Nabal and Nabal's men. He sent his men ahead of him to go ask Nabal for bread and wine and whatever. Nabal said, I don't even know. I don't know where you come from. I don't know who you are. I don't know who sent you. I don't even know who is this David you all talk about. So I'm not going to be giving you all nothing. So you go back and you tell this king or whoever I think he is that I ain't got nothing to give you all. While Nabal had a lot. He had 3,000 sheep, he had 1,000 goats, he had everything. And it seemed to me like David was jealous that Nabal had so much and he didn't have that much. And that's why he sent his men. And when Nabal said, no, I'm not giving you all nothing, they went back and told David, and David told them, each of you should get a sword. Pick up a sword, each one of you, because we are going down there, go brute force him, go manangle him. By tomorrow morning, he will be dead. All of his men will be dead. Everybody down here will be dead. And we're going to take all that he has. And when his wife Abigail heard that the men had come and Nabal had not given them bread, she loaded up a donkey with bread and wine and food, everything she could find. And she said, I am going to bring all of this to these people. And she went, and as she was going to go find them, she met them coming to come find her husband. And so she gave them the bread and everything else that she had brought on the donkey. And David thanked her. And David told her, it's a good thing that you came to meet me, because if you are not, by tomorrow, you and your husband and everybody else down there would be dead. And after he told that to Abigail, he sent Abigail on her way. When Abigail got back home, her husband Nabal was having a big old party, a big feast. Wally Panyamins they were having. And he was drunk. Nabal was drunk, so Abigail couldn't tell him what had happened. Because remember, she didn't tell her husband Nabal that she was taking all these things to go give to David, She didn't tell him. And now when she came back, he's having a party. She couldn't tell him again because he was drunk. So she waited until the next morning when he was a little bit more sober. That's when she waited to tell him what had happened. And 10 days after that, Nabal died. Nabal died. And now, David is rejoicing that the man is dead. To send his servants to go get the man's wife, come to him to be his wife. Understand them something here, so? Yes, Lasha said, I thought the wife sent a lot of stuff to David. Yes, she had brought a lot of stuff. She didn't just send them. She went with them. She went with them on the donkey. She didn't just send them. Bad mind about long time with some, I remember. She gave him a whole lot of stuff. Delia said, was David Jamaica? Girl. OMG, people. Verse 43 said, David also took Ahinoam of Jezreel, and they were also both of them his wife. So here we now know the three names of David's wife. So David was married to Michal, who was Saul's daughter. And now he has taken Abigail, who is Nabal's widow. And he also took Ahinoam, Ahinoam, of Jezreel to be his wife. But Saul had let's see what verse 44 said. But Saul had given Michal, his daughter, David's wife, to Falti. The Bible is so interesting. But Saul had given Michal, his daughter, David's wife, to Falti, the son of Laish, which was of Galim. Okay, so Saul gave David's wife Michal to another man. Then you see these things, as the father them used to do. Just give the man wife to somebody else. Remember last week when we were reading with with Samson? Remember when Samson got mad and left Philistine? Remember when Samson got mad and left Philistine in his rage because they had gotten the fufu riddle? You all remember? Then he came back, but his wife's mother had already given, his wife's father had already given her away to another man. Now Saul has taken Michael and given Michael away to another man as well. These stories are so funny, aren't they? Lasha said Saul was a wicked king. Oh yes. Oh yes. Saul was a wicked king. Samson was a wicked judge. Boy, the people, them, I don't know. And these were people, they were saying they are men of God, they are following God. I don't understand a lot of it, because if you say that these were men of God and God was leading them, as why they were so wicked? Why? Lashos, I love them too, my love. I love these stories, and I love the fact that I'm reading them for myself, because you see, the Bible stories that they give us at church when I was growing up, it looked like them take out the nice parts and put it in and don't tell us the real thing that the Bible says. Because last week, me know that David did also take off the Goliath's head. All I learned in church was that David used a pebble, lick Goliath in the infrared with a slingshot, and Goliath died. We never know him did cut off Goliath's head and carry it, go give to Saul. We never know. But anyway, we are going to continue. People them back then did wicked and oh yes, Lashos. That is what I talk about. Oh, the blood, they just keep. And the thing is, there were so many of them who were saying they were men of God, but there was a lot of killing going on. A lot, everything, all the punishment, everything. This from the simplest to the greatest sin. The punishment was death. It's like once we have gotten rid of the perpetrator, our tribe is cleansed. We just got to get rid of them. It's not like, okay, the only person, I know there probably was more than one person, but the only person I heard what they say that, he did not get an immediate death sentence was the person who, according to Moses, if you are swinging an axe to cut a tree and the axe fly off the handle and it hits somebody and they die, then you're not supposed to be put to death because that was a genuine accident. So you should be sent to another land far away from the relatives of the person who you killed so that they can heal. And you can't come back until the people from that person's family who are alive right now have passed on. Then you can come back. But everybody else, DEAD, see how I couldn't live back in that era? Exactly. Who could live back then? And Lasha said, and they knew Jesus. They were saying that they spoke to God man to man. They're not, let me tell you, Delia, this cannot be the entire truth. This cannot be the truth, Delia. I agree with you 100%. Lasha said, that's why with everything going on today, I'm not surprised. Exactly. You cannot be surprised at what is going on today. Because here we are saying, no, we are following the Bible to the T. We are following it. But you can't follow them something here. Where somebody I go. We cannot follow these things. These are not lessons for us to follow. We cannot follow it. You are going to see somebody with something. You bad mind the man. You don't know where the man getting 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goat and whatever else he have. You know that man, they probably go a lot of nights hungry just to save to buy them or to trust them or whatever. To have them, to buy the two goat him by the first time that over the years has given him 3,000 sheep and this 1,000 goat. I know you bad mind the man. Are you gonna send and tell the man to send you stuff like you are some some ghetto done, you're going to tell the man to send stuff. And because the man not send it, you are going to go down there with brute force. Ah, boy. But that is the end of chapter 25 of the book of 1 Samuel. So Nabal has died in this part of the story, and the bad man David sent his men to go fetch Abigail so that he can have Abigail for his wife. But his first wife, Michal, her father Saul had given her away to another man. Chapter 26. Marlon, how are you doing, my love? And the Ziphites came unto Saul to Gibeah. Remember, Saul is in Gibeah, and Ziph is the place where David was hiding from Saul. And the Ziphites came unto Saul to Gibeah, saying, Doth not David hide himself in the hill of Achilah, which is before Jeshimon? Then Saul arose and went down to the wilderness of Ziph, having 3,000 chosen men of Israel with him, to seek David in the wilderness of Ziph. And Saul pitched in the hill of Achilah, which is before Jeshimon. By the way, but David abode in the wilderness, and he saw that Saul came after him into the wilderness. David therefore sent out spies, and understood that Saul was come in very deed. Ah, boy. And David arose and came to the place where Saul had pitched. And David beheld the place where Saul lay. And Abner, the son of Ner. Abner, the son of Ner. Abner was, didn't we read that Abner was somebody's uncle? Let's continue reading. And Abner, the son of Ner, the captain of his host, and Saul lay in the trench, and the people pitched round about him. Then answered David and sent to Ahimelech the Hittite. I thought Ahimelech had died. Then answered David and said to Ahimelech the Hittite, and to Abishai the son of Zeruiah, brother of Joab, saying, Who will go down with me to Saul to the camp? And Abishai said, I will go down with thee. So David and Abishai came to the people by night, and behold, Saul lay sleeping within the trench, and his spear stuck in the ground at his holster. But Abner and the people lay round about him. Then said Abishai to David, God hath delivered thine enemy into thine hand this day. Now therefore let me smite him, I pray thee, with the spear, even to the earth at once, and I will not smite him the second time. This is why it is said that the Bible is for correction, reproof, and teaching. Exactly. Because there are so many missing pieces. So many missing pieces in the Bible. Verse 8 of chapter 26 of the book of 1 Samuel. Then said Abishai to David, God hath delivered thine enemy into thine hand this day. Now therefore let me smite him, I pray thee, with the spear even to the earth at once, and I will not smite him the second time. And David said to Abishai, Destroy him not, for who can stretch forth his hand against the Lord's anointed, and be guiltless? David said, Wherefore, furthermore, as the Lord liveth, the Lord shall smite him, or his day shall come to die, or he shall descend into battle and perish. Kish was Abner's uncle. I know I read something. You see what I can't do without your card. And Kish was Saul's father, right? Okay. Verse 10. David said furthermore, as the Lord liveth, the Lord shall smite him, or his day shall come to die, or he shall descend into battle and perish. The Lord forbid that I should stretch forth mine hand against the Lord's anointed. But I pray thee, take thou now the spear that is at his bolster, and the crush of water, and let us go. All right. So when the guy was with David, Abishai, when he says to David, look at Saul, him lay down here sleeping. Look at him. You should just take him out right now. David said, no, he's anointed by the Lord. I'm not going to touch him. But what I want you to do is to take his spear and take his water bottle. So when Saul wake up and see that his spear and his water bottle are gone, he will know that somebody came there. Somebody is trying to teach him a lesson. Verse 12. So David took the spear and the cruse of water from Saul's bolster, and they got their way, and they went away. And no man saw it, nor knew it, neither awake, for they were all asleep, because a deep sleep from the Lord had fallen upon them. You see that? So a great sleep had fallen upon Saul and his men. No, I know you wasn't answering. I wasn't answering. You wasn't answering to Kat. I know. I realize that. Touch not the Lord's anointed, and do his prophets no harm. And David knew that. Then David went over to the other side and stood on the top of a hill afterwards. He stood on the top of a hill afar off, a great space being between him and them. And David cried to his people and to Abner the son of Ner, saying, Answerest thou not, Abner? Then Abner answered and said, Who art thou, that thou criest to the king? And David said to Abner, Art not thou a valiant man? And who is like to thee in Israel? Wherefore then hast thou not kept thy word, kept thy lord the king? For there came one of the people in to destroy the king thy lord. This thing is not good that thou hast done. As the Lord liveth, he are worthy to die, because ye have not kept your master, the Lord's anointed. And now see where the king's spear is, and the cruse of water that was at his bolster. Ha! So here David is saying to Abner, what kind of protection were you all providing for Saul? I have Saul's spear and I have Saul's cruse of water. That is this, you know when you're going to battle, like the soldiers carry that canteen of water. Yes, that's what it is. So here he's saying to Abner, what kind of soldiers are you? You all were with the king. So you all were with Saul the king. Eh? And while on a drop asleep and left the king vulnerable, that I could come in there while all of you were sleeping and take the king's spear and the king water bottle. But you see, they don't know that a heavy sleep had befallen them. They just think, oops, we messed up because we fell asleep. But the sleep was not of their own doing. That sleep, they could not run away from it. I'm loving it. You are very welcome, Lashes. You are very welcome, my sister. I'm glad you are enjoying it. And I hope everybody else in the chat, I hope you all are enjoying this reading as much as I am enjoying it. Because I am learning so much by reading the Bible all for myself. And I'm glad that I am on this platform so I can share it. with you all. And Saul knew David's voice and said, "Is this thy voice, my son David?" I say, Saul and David have this toxic relationship. One minute David is calling Saul my father. The next minute Saul is calling David my son. And the next minute Saul is coming to kill David. And the next minute David is showing Saul like they're playing a little hide and seek. David is showing him how he could kill him. I don't know. The two of them is something else. And Saul knew David's voice and said, "Is this thy voice, my son David?" And David said, "It is my voice, my lord, O king." And he said, "Wherefore doth my lord thus pursue after his servants? For what have I done? Or what evil is it in mine hand? Now therefore I pray thee, let my lord the king hear the words of his servant. If the Lord have stirred thee up against me, let him accept an offering. But if they be the children of men, cursed be they before the Lord. For they have driven me out this day from abiding in the inheritance of the Lord, saying, Go and serve other gods." In other words, you supposed to be his security and you are sleeping. How did I come in there and take his stuff? Exactly. Exactly. The genuineness was coming from David, but Saul was full of trickery. Ah, boy, I tell you. Verse 20 says, "Now therefore, let not my blood fall to the earth before the face of the Lord, for the king of Israel is come out to seek a flea, as when one doth hunt a partridge in the mountains." Then Saul said, "I have sinned. Return, my son David, for I will no more do thee harm, because my soul was precious in thine eyes this day. Behold, I have played the fool and have erred exceedingly." So here Saul is apologizing to David to say, "Look how long I'm trying to kill you. Look how me run around here and try to kill you. And look, you could have killed me so many times, but you did not. Thank you for sparing my soul. Now come around here. Thank you so much." And David answered and said, "Behold the king's spear, and let one of the young men come over and fetch it. The Lord render to every man his righteousness and his faithfulness. For the Lord delivered thee into my hand today, but I would not stretch forth my hand against the Lord's anointed. And behold, as thy life was much set by this day in mine eyes, so let my life be much set by in the eyes of the Lord, and let him deliver me out of all tribulation." Verse 25, and this is the last verse of chapter 26 of the book of 1 Samuel. Then Saul said to David, "Blessed be thou, my son David. Thou shalt both do great things, and also shalt still prevail." So David went on his way, and Saul returned to his place. David's place now, David is dwelling in Ziph, and Saul is living in Gilead. We are going to continue. We are going to read verse 27. I know I said we were going on to verse 26, but let us go on to verse 27, to chapter, forgive me guys, I keep saying verse, to chapter 27. "And David said in his heart, I shall now perish one day by the hand of Saul. There is nothing better for me than that I should speedily escape into the land of the Philistines. And Saul shall despair of me, to seek me any more in any coast of Israel. So shall I escape out of his hand. And David arose, and he passed over with the 600 men that were with him unto Ashish, the son of Moach, king of Gath. Verse 3. And David dwelt with Ashish at Gath, he and his men, every man with his household, even David with his 2 wives. Now you remember who are David's 2 wives at this time, guys? Remember, it's gonna come up Friday in the quiz. It's going to come up Friday. All right, don't forget. All right, David's wife Ahinoam and Abigail. And it was told Saul that David was fled to Gath, and he sought no more again for him. And David said unto Ashish, If I have now found grace in thine eyes, let them give me a place in some town in the country, that I may dwell there. For why should thy servant dwell in the royal city with thee? Then Ashish gave him Ziklag, Ziklag. So Ashish gave him I'm writing it down here. Ziklag, place given to David by Ashish. Verse 6. Then Ashish gave him Ziklag that day, wherefore Ziklag pertaineth unto the kings of Judah unto this day. And the time that David dwelt in the country of the Philistines was a full year and 4 months. And David and his men went up and invaded the Geshurites and the Geshurites and the Amalekites, for those nations were of old the inhabitants of the land, as thou goest to Shur, even unto the land of Egypt. And David smote the land. My God, what is wrong with David? And David smote the land, and left neither man nor woman alive, and took away the sheep and the oxen and the asses and the camels and the clothes, and returned and came to Ashish. Mighty God of Daniel. And Ashish said, Whither have he made a road today? And David said, Against the south of Judah, and against the south of the Jerahmeelites, and against the south of the Kenites. And David saved neither man nor woman alive, to bring tidings to God, saying, lest they should tell on us, saying, So did David, and so will be his manner all the while he dwelleth in the country of the Philistines. Wow. And Ashish believed David, saying, He hath made his people Israel utterly to hate him. Therefore he shall be my servant forever. Oh my. I'm going to continue. I will continue reading. I want to read to see what else happened. What happens after David slew all those people? Chapter 28. And it came to pass in those days that the Philistines gathered their armies together for warfare to fight with Israel. And Ashish said unto David, Know thou assuredly that thou shalt go out with me to battle, thou and thy men. So here, the king who gave him this place called Ziklag to live, Ashish is telling him, listen, there is going to be a war. The Philistines are coming up against us. So you and your men need to come with me. And David said to Ashish, Surely thou shalt know what thy servant can do. And Ashish said to David, Therefore will I make thee keeper of mine head forever. Now Samuel was dead, and all Israel had lamented him, and buried him in Ramah, even in his own city. And Saul had put away those that had familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land. Okay. So Saul had put out all the wizards and those who had familiar spirits, that those who think that they were fortune tellers and they could see things and see the future and all of that. Saul had put them out of the land. And the Philistines gathered themselves together and came and pitched in Shunem. And Saul gathered all Israel together, and they pitched in Gilboa. And when Saul saw the host of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart greatly trembled. And when Saul inquired of the Lord answered him not, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by prophets. Y'all remember Urim and Thummim? So now when they consult the Lord, they can no longer find him. He's no longer answering to their prayers. He's no longer communicating with Saul, not through dreams, nor through Urim, nor through the prophet. Verse 7, then Saul said unto his servants, seek me a woman that hath a familiar spirit. All right, go find me a medium, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servants said to him, behold, there is a woman that hath a familiar spirit at Endor. And Saul disguised himself and put on another raiment. And he went, and 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night. And you see why people go up your man at night time? You see why people go up your man at night? All right. Verse 8. And Saul disguised himself and put on another raiment. And he went, and 2 men with him. And they came to the woman by night. And he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee. Watch us, I'm gone to the Obia woman to go bring up dead somebody. Okay. And the woman said unto him, behold, you know what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits, and the wizards out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life, to cause me to die? You see how the man stay? You see how the man Saul is? I hope your man that him gone, you know. Figure bring up somebody dead, you know. The woman say, why you come here? You put out all of the wizards and everybody. Yet here you come. Yet here you come. And me, you want to die? And Saul swear to her by the Lord. You see why I'm in a fright when people start crying? Anytime I see people are wicked, I'm always the first to start crying. Always start crying. And Saul swear to her by the Lord, saying, as the Lord liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. And the woman is telling you, not going to happen to you if you help me raise up one dead. And when you raise up the dead, me I'm going to name the person to you. Then said the woman, whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, bring me up Samuel. He said, bring me up Samuel. Remember, Samuel was up on that hill there. Remember when Saul's father Kish sent him and the servant to go find the donkeys. If you all have been following the story, when Saul's father Kish sent Saul and the servant to go find the donkeys, and they were searching for 3 days, they asked to go find a medium, somebody to tell them where the donkey them. They we can't find the donkeys. And when somebody recommended to them a medium, They went, and the person was Samuel, who told them that your father has already found his donkeys. So go on back home. You all remember? So now see Saul now gone to go find an Obia woman to tell him, to help him to bring up Samuel's spirit. What was really the purpose of this killing and stealing biblically? Wasn't it written, thou shalt keep? Hey, Andrea. Hey. And the same people who are committing these offenses are people of God. People who say that they are able to commune with the Lord, to talk with him, and he is instructing them. Very conflicting. Very contrary. But we continue to read it. But Samuel was not a medium. Samuel was a seer, a prophet of God. Okay, thanks for that correction. And the man, can't say the man swear by the Lord. Exactly. For show you how wicked him is. And Saul, verse 10 of chapter 28 says, and Saul sware to her by the Lord, saying, as the Lord liveth, there shall no punishment happen to you for this thing. Then the woman said to Saul, who you want me to bring up? And Saul said, bring up Samuel. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spoke to Saul, saying, why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. And the king said unto her, be not afraid, for what have you seen? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. And he said unto her, what form is he in? And she said, an old man is coming up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stopped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. And Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines take war against me, and God is departed from me, and answers me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayst make known unto me what I shall do. So when you're so wicked that the Lord himself has departed from you, he's not giving you no more direction, he's not coming to you anymore because he has been abiding with you and you have been so wicked. When you have done all of this and you can no longer call to God, then you turn to Obiaman to bring up dead people to give you direction. You have to be a desperate soul. You have to be very desperate for you to do such a thing. Verse 15 said, and Samuel said to Saul, why have you disquieted me? That why you come about me for? Samuel couldn't just slap him. Samuel couldn't just strike him and make him fall down right there. Where you going about the dead man for? And Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me, and answers me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayst make known unto me what I shall do. Verse 16. Andrea said, why didn't God just strike Saul dead after asking such a request by this seer? Exactly. He would have deserved it, man. Verse 16. Then said Samuel, wherefore then dost thou ask of me, seeing the Lord is departed from thee and is becoming thine enemy? So here is Samuel saying to Saul, where you come about me for? You see me dead and me lay down right here so you're in peace. If the Lord has departed from you, what you expect me to do? What do you want from me, Saul? And the Lord hath done to him as he spake by me. For the Lord hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand, and given it to thy neighbor, even to David. So the Lord hath taken the kingdom from Saul and give it to David, because Saul wasn't acting right. So now that the Lord has departed from him, watch him now, gone to go find the seer to go wake up the dead so he can get directions from the dead. He must be very desperate. You understand? Long time people are go a graveyard, go by the dead people. What are the dead man for? Verse 18 said, because you do not obey the voice of the Lord, you do not execute his fierce wrath upon Amalek. Therefore hath the Lord done this thing unto you this day. Moreover, the Lord will also into the hand of the Philistines. So you see Samuel tell him, you want me to tell you what going to happen? Let me tell you what going to happen. This is what going to happen. Tomorrow, you're going to fight against the Philistines. And you and your sons are going to be dead. You're going to be in this world with me. This death world. The world of the non-living. You are going to be in it with me tomorrow. Then Saul fell straightway all along on the earth, and was sore afraid because of the words of Samuel. And there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no bread all the day, nor all the night. You know, anytime Saul going to do anything, you know, remember when he was going to war, he remained hungry. He remained hungry, and I told the people they shouldn't eat anything when they were going to the war. All right. So now he fell on his face, him hungry. He hadn't eaten all day. And the woman came unto Saul, and saw that he was sore troubled, and said unto him, behold, thine handmaid hath obeyed thy voice, and I have put my life in my hand, and have hearkened unto thy words, which thou speakest unto me. Now therefore, I pray thee, hearken thou also unto the voice of thine handmaid, and let me set a morsel of bread before thee, and eat, that thou mayest have strength when thou goest on thy way. Verse 23. But he refused, and said, I will not eat. But his servants, together with the women, compelled him, and he hearkened unto their voice. So he arose from the earth, and sat upon the bed. Verse 24. And the woman had a fat calf in the house, and she hasted and killed it, and took flour, and kneaded it, and did make unleavened bread thereof. And she brought it before Saul, and before his servants, and they did eat. Then they rose up, and went away that night. Okay. Yes, Lashos said nothing is new under the sun, and that is so true. Nothing is new. A long time people, they go up your man, and they go dig, go raise up dead, but then they talk to dead, they ask to dead. Anybody who go interfere dead people after them done dead, if he's a box, them I go get them deserve it. Because when people dead, them dead. Leave them alone. Him want a word, so he got it. And now him get the word, him no want it. All right. That is the end of chapter 28, my friends, of the book of First Samuel. Now, we are going to read chapter 29, and for real, this is going to be the last chapter for today. Chapter 30 is actually quite long, and when we come back tomorrow morning, we will read that chapter. So let's move on to chapter 29. Now the Philistines gathered together all their armies to Aphek, A-P-H-E-K, that's the place. And the Israelites pitched by a fountain which is in Jezreel. And the Lord of the Israelites passed on by hundreds and by thousands, but David and his men passed on in the rearward with Achish. Then said the princes of the Philistines, What are these Hebrews doing here? And Achish said unto the princes of the Philistines, Is not this David, the servant of Saul, the king of Israel, which hath been with me these days, or these years, and I have found no fault in him since he fell unto me unto this day? And the princes of the Philistines were angry with him. And the princes of the Philistines said unto him, Make these fellow return, that he may go again to his place which thou hast appointed him, and let him not go down with us to battle, lest in the battle he be an adversary to us. For wherewith should he reconcile himself unto his master? Should it not be with the heads of these men? Okay, so what is happening here is that, remember, David and his men are with Achish. And Achish, they are going down to fight with the Philistines. The Philistines are going down to fight with the Hebrew people. And they're saying, well, David has been down here with me for a long time. That's what Achish is saying. He said, David has been down here with me a long time. I haven't found any fault with him. But here he's being told, well, if we go up against the Hebrew, remember he's Hebrew. So if we go up against the Hebrew, don't you think he might switch loyalty? So we have to send him back where he came from. Get rid of him, because we don't want him. We don't want somebody who is not totally loyal to us. Verse 4, and the princes of the Philistines were angry with him. And the princes of the Philistines said unto him, Make this fellow return, that he may go again to his place which thou hast appointed him, and let him not go down with us to battle, lest in the battle he be an adversary to us. For wherewith should he reconcile himself unto his master? Should it not be with the heads of these men? Is not this David, of whom they sang one to another in dances, saying, Saul slew him thousands, and David his 10,000s? And Achish called David, and said to him, Surely, as the Lord liveth, thou hast been upright, and thy going out and thy comings in with me is the host. In the host is good in my sight, for I have not found evil in thee since the day thou came into my house. Nevertheless, the Lord's favor thee not. So you hear the princes of the Palestine princes are talking to Achish and telling Achish, just send David away, him and his men. They are no good for us. They might become our enemies in the event of a war. So lucky that Samuel's spirit was peaceful. If he wasn't a man of peace, frighten him backside and run him like a thief in the night. Everybody who go mess with dead people should get something. Believe me. Such an evil gesture Saul requested by exactly Andrea. Verse 7. Wherefore now return and go in peace, that thou displease not the lords of the Philistines. And David said unto Achish, But what have I done? And what hast thou found in thy servant, as long as I have been with thee unto this day, that I may not go fight against the enemies of my lord the king? And Achish answered and said to David, I know that thou art good in my sight, as an angel of God, notwithstanding the princes of the Philistines. He shall not go up with us to the battle. Verse 10. Wherefore now rise up again early in the morning with thy master's servants that are come with thee, and as soon as ye be up early in the morning, and have light, depart. Verse 11, and this is the last verse of chapter 29. So David, verse 11, this is the last verse of chapter 29. So David and his men rose up early to depart in the morning, to return unto the land of the Philistines. And the Philistines went up to Jezreel. That is the end of the reading for today. That is the end of chapter 29 of the book of Samuel. Now, in this past reading, we have learned that Samuel has passed away. We saw that Saul, his desire to kill David has somewhat dwindled. David has had the opportunity many times to kill him, but decided against it at the last minute. And David has shown this to Saul, that I could have killed you many times, but I chose to spare your life. And Saul now is acting all grateful, like he's grateful that David did not kill him. But here he is. He has been so wrong. He has done so many wrongs in the sight of God that God has basically turned his back against him. He's no longer guiding him, neither with prophets nor with dreams. And so Saul is sort of on his own, because the Lord isn't paying him any mind anymore. So now that he can no longer talk to the Lord, he gone to find an Obiaman to tell him the future, to raise up the dead, so that the dead can tell him what is the future, what is going to happen. And the woman raised up Samuel. Samuel is angry at Saul. Where you come trouble me for? You know, say me dead and me arrest. Where you come about me for? And Samuel told Saul that tomorrow, at this time tomorrow, this same time tomorrow, you and your sons are going to be dead. You are going to be where I am right now. So Saul, I guess that scared him out of his wits to know that tomorrow he and his sons are going to die in battle, and they are going to be on the other side where Samuel has gone. When we come back tomorrow, we will continue the reading of 1 Samuel. We are going to be starting tomorrow at verse 30. At chapter 30. I keep saying verse. We are going to start tomorrow at chapter 30. Now, I hope you all are enjoying the reading as much as I am enjoying bringing it to you. It is my absolute pleasure reading the Bible for us. And as we go along, we are finding lots of controversies in the Bible. We over here, we are not endorsing any particular religion or any denomination. What we are doing here is basically trying to read the Bible for ourselves and understand it for ourselves and on our own terms, so that we can have a first-hand knowledge of what is in the Bible. Because oftentimes we hear people say XYZ is in the Bible when it actually isn't. And we are about personal empowerment, because knowledge is power. Let no man tell you what is in the Bible. Find out for yourself. And that's going to be it from me for right now, my friends. Until the next time, this is Trev from Trevessence, where your journey matters. Once again, I want to say thanks to everybody who came into the live, the silent listeners, and those who came in and contributed to the chat. Lashes and Winsome and Card and Andrea and Joseph. And I think AG was here as well. And several other people were here in the chat. I sincerely appreciate you all. Don't forget to join me tomorrow morning as we continue the reading of the Bible. Saul, lucky that Samuel's spirit was peaceful, or he would. Exactly. So that is going to be it from me for today, my friends. Until next time, this is Trev from Trevessence, where your journey matters. Now have yourself a great day, everybody.